Hey, welcome to Mineral Talks Live, the weekly live webinar that brings you in-depth and in-person interviews with the mineral people from around the world. Mineral Talks Live is brought to you by a joint effort among the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, the Society of Mineral Museum Professionals, and BlueCap Productions. Tune in every Wednesday and stay connected to your mineral world. Now, broadcasting live from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, the land of aloha, ukuleles, and shakas, this is Mineral Talks Live. Eloïse, how are you today?
Hello, hi everybody. Welcome to the museum. This is better than nothing. You can see the full view of half of the view of the museum right now. But thanks for joining. I'm happy to be here. Welcome to this first Mineral Talks Live.
Wonderful. Well, it looks like you're having some pretty outstanding weather there in Paris. What's it like out there right now?
Yeah, I put my kind of Hawaiian shirt as well for the first one. You know, I know that you put yours on.
Chee-hoo!
I have the windows open. It's beautiful.
Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Hey, so the museum is looking pretty empty. Are you still closed as a result of the COVID-19 situation?
Yes, so we are closed to the public. We are waiting for things to reopen in the Paris area because Paris is still under kind of an orange situation right now. So, for example, we can go to bars and restaurants, but they are only go outside, so on decks in Paris, and that's it. Museums, they're still working out how they can reopen safely. So right now we are trying to reopen in July, but really for us, as we are in a museum inside a school, it will depend on the decision of the director of the school. We are ready. Actually, here today, we were the full staff at the museum. Full staff means 4 people. And actually 2 other of my colleagues are here, so I'm sure they're gonna come later and say hi. They're in the meeting right now. So we're close to the public, but staff can come in, but the school needs to have only 40% max of its capacity of staff. So still restrictions here, yes.
Any idea when you might open? By the way, we've got Marek Swoboda right here. He's one of the founding members of the Keiki Mineral Club. And so he got up extra early because he wanted to watch this interview.
Yes, we have to say that it's 5 p.m. in France, but it's 5 a.m. in Hawaii. So Brian, thanks for this, your dedication. To answer your question about reopening the museum, no dates. We will keep you posted. We hope in July, and at first it's going to be September for sure, but maybe in July on certain condition, probably you will need to pre-subscribe, go online and register for a very specific day, very specific time. Right now we're still closed.
Okay, right on. Well, now you said that there are 4 full-time members there at the Paris School of Mines. You are the curator there. What does your job entail? What do you do day for day? I mean, share that with everyone else just in case they don't know.
Okay, so we have 2 curators for the museum here. So the one curator who is my boss is actually the director of the museum. So he has more an administrative job, and I'm in charge of the collection and also of the exhibits and all the loans. So it's a very small museum. Well, small, not in size because we have about 1,000 square meter of gallery. The collection is 100,000 specimens. I think maybe we will have the time to talk about that later, but really small in size of staff and resources. So we do everything. Everybody does everything. So basically, there's a gemologist here as well, and we have the 4th person is the person that will welcome you at the entrance of the museum. My job is from taking care of the collection, so making sure all the specimens are well stored, to loans, that means preparing the paperwork, which takes actually the longest. So bear with me when you can ask. Mostly public museums can ask us for any loans, or if there's a special exhibit that can be organized anywhere in the world, we can loan specimens to you. However, it needs the proper paperwork, the proper insurance, proper transportation. So we'll have to deal with the paperwork regarding that, the packing of their minerals and making sure everything arrives on site and then is well displayed. and then all the way to coming back to the museum. So that's really the collection work, is the loan, the exhibit outside, the exhibits inside, because we build our own exhibits sometimes. We welcome exhibits from outside as well. And of course, the curation job. So I can show you a bit later on. I open some drawers for you, just so that you can see what it looks like. So you'll see the gallery is very long, and it's only half of it that you see. The other half is on the other side. And we have drawers everywhere, drawers full of samples. So we have permanently, we have to, and actually the cupboard as well. I don't know if you see some cupboards over there. They're full of samples. So we have to make sure that everything is in place, everything returns back when it comes back from a loan, and everything is safe and secure. Still, we're a small museum, so we take care of the website ourselves, in French, in English, the social media, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We take care of education as well. So, for example, I give classes here at the School of Mines, mostly about minerals. That's not surprising. Mostly the color of minerals and also minerals related to art as well. I give classes outside, mostly for a gemology program called the DUG, the Diplôme d'Université en Gémologie in Nantes. So that's a high-end degree in gemology. We also do conferences to educate the general public. So in France, but also outside. I clean the rocks. I clean the display cases. So you see sometimes I take a ladder and go and clean everything. So basically, you know, the question is, what do we don't do here? It's more than what do we do. And you will see, depending on the curators, you will have much more different aspects of curation, because here again, we're a very, very small museum. But the good thing about it is that we can do everything we want. If we want to put an exhibit together, we don't have to wait for the exhibit team to come in and dictate us what we will do. If we want to replace a mineral from exhibit, I can do that. You know, like maybe this one is not that interesting because I got a better one. Someone gave us a better one, so I can remove that one and put another one in. So really, we're really flexible about what we can do, but we don't have much money and much staff to do it. So you know, you give and you take. But I really like this way of doing things, actually, because it gives me an opportunity to do a lot of different things in my job.
Wow. Well, it begs the question: what do you do in your spare time?
Spare time at work or spare time outside of work?
No, so if I understand correctly, you're trying to get us to believe that that beautiful gallery behind you just isn't some fancy Zoom background, correct?
Yes, correct. Do you want me to open more doors here?
We'll go there in a second. Wow, that's incredible green screen technology you have at work. Well, now, Eloïse, before we dive deeply into your experience with the mineral world, I want to have you talk real briefly about another kind of diving that you like to do on your personal time, which is skydiving. Tell us, I'm not sure if a lot of people know that about you, but tell us about that real quickly.
Well, Brian, you know, that's something very interesting now for me, because, you know, I stopped skydiving when I left LA. LA was the best place ever to jump out of an airplane, because you can do that throughout the year. The weather is so gorgeous. Since I moved back in France in 2015, I gave that up, mostly because there's no drop zone next to Paris. But during the COVID, I was supposed to take a workshop again and go jumping next to Belgium. So now I'm stuck on the ground, but hopefully in July, I will go back and jump out of perfectly good airplanes. So that's just something fun. In my dreams, I always fly. So flying is, I just love flying. Obviously, when you jump out of an airplane, you don't fly, you fall, but you still have this sensation of flying, and you have the air coming in and blowing into your entire body. I mean, it's really exhilarating, and I just love it. So hopefully in July again, I will go and jump out of an airplane.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, and it makes me think of the line from Buzz Lightyear that I'm probably just paraphrasing here, but when he says, it's not flying, it's falling with grace, or something like that.
Well, Grace, I'm not sure about it. Okay.
I've done it once and I said, okay, that's enough. I can't believe that you do it over. How many jumps have you done now?
I'm a beginner, which means that I have 180 jumps, which is not many, but I can jump with, we jump with other people and we do formations. So we can jump from 2 people up to 50 people at the same time. And we just do figures and things like that. So it's fun. I like that. Or we can just do free fly, which I like to do as well, is when you don't fly, you don't fall flat, but you actually go up the head down or head up, like sitting. So you can do a lot of different things in the sky. You move in 3D, 3 dimension. When you walk, you just walk like this way, and that's it. But in skydiving, you have the third dimension, which is this. You can really control the speed as well. So you can go left, right, behind, but also you control the height of your speed, basically.
Oh God, in scuba diving, we have 3 dimensions also, but we don't have this thing called the earth rushing up to meet us if we don't pay attention. So, hey, hats off to you. I mean, that's crazy stuff for me. Hey, now you had mentioned your time in Los Angeles. So let's dive a little bit into your past here. I know that you did your postdoctoral work at the Smithsonian Museum, America's Museum. And then from there, and this was in Washington, D.C., from there you went on to the Carnegie Museum. And then you moved all the way across the country to Los Angeles. You ended up at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles. And then, would you say 2015, you went back to France and ended up in Paris, where you are right now at the School of Mines. So my big question is, what got you started into mineral collecting or the mineral collecting world? And how did you end up going more towards the kind of scientific curatorial side versus a kind of a hardcore collector or potentially even a dealer?
So we have to go back a long, long time ago when I was only a little kid. Okay, like I barely can remember that anymore. But okay, I come from a very small village in France, not far away from the Atlantic Ocean. And in this village, we have fields everywhere. And when I was just go across the streets, the fields were full of rocks, and those rocks had fossils. And I was going out pretty much since I was like, 4, even 3, go and collecting rocks in the fields. And also my parents were taking me every summer to the Alps. So the French Alps, you know what that means? It means rocks, it means good rocks, it means really nice quartz crystal and amethyst and all the things that you can dream from the Alps. So I didn't really begin collecting in the Alps, but I saw the beautiful mountains, the environment. I got a few rocks back then, but it's, really cheap rocks. I didn't get into collecting really, but they were really fascinating me. And I began to learn more when I was 10 or something. I was kind of collecting the series, so you can learn more about rocks and you can learn more about minerals. So I began like that, and I love nature in general. I wanted to be a vet first, and I love animals, I love nature. And eventually, when I reached a high school, I realized that, well, I love animals, I still love animals, but actually I still love the earth. And when I entered the university, I realized that there was something called a geology program. So, when I went there and I discovered the university, and I asked people, what people actually like study rocks as a job? Is that for real? Are you like, is that really? So I began really looking into that and becoming a geologist. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's so cool. I'm in. So I completely switched back. I left behind me the wish of wanting to be a vet and really begin the geology. And I was lucky, really lucky, that at the University of Nantes, mineralogy was still a thing that was taught for the program. And on top of that, not only mineralogy, but gemology. So I had the opportunity to study with great people such as Emmanuel Fritsch and Bernard Lanier, people who were passionate about minerals, gem crystals, and Emmanuel is a specialist in gems, but really Bernard Lanier was my teacher for petrology, rocks, and minerals. So I really began into that. And then I realized that I really like doing research. So it was not something I just being following the classes was fine of geology, but I realized that I wanted to do the research and know more about the rocks and discover myself what was to learn about those rocks. And I wanted to combine the minerals I love the most, which are the gem crystals, with what I wanted to do as a research. So I began working with Emmanuel, and that's how I got into more research and more research focused on gem crystals and gem minerals in general. So that's how I began working with opals, and then later sapphires, and then a bit later on diamonds as well. That was a long answer. Sorry, but I told you that was a long time ago, so I had to.
Well, there's one thing I can say, that of all the people I've talked to in this mineral collecting world, there's never a lack of passion. So your long answer, I know, is a product of the passion that you have for minerals. And so speaking of passion, can you take us through the museum, kind of walk us through, show us what it looks like, and while you're at it, maybe describe some of the history of the museum, how it got started and how it got to be as prominent as it is right now. Oh, I think I lost your audio.
Okay, I should be back.
Okay.
I should be back. So we are working, as there's no public inside the museum. We are working on the collection. So if you see some mess around, we spread some rocks around here. So don't worry about that. Also, I'm gonna take that. That's the big room here at the museum. You see, we have beautiful weather. We have an exhibit ongoing. See that? You see the big, nice weather. Also, that's why we're still a work in progress here. But I want to take you first to the entrance of the museum for those who don't know about it. Please, Brian, let me know, because I know that the connection might not be as good as I'm walking around, so bear with me, I'm sorry, that happens. This is the entrance of the museum here. And I think I'm going to switch, I'm not sure if I can switch my camera around. But, okay.
All right. Okay, it looks like we got a little hiccup here, at least for me.
This is when you arrive at the museum, that's what you're going to see. Do you see it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we see the murals on the wall and on the ceiling.
I'm coming back next to the Wi-Fi area. It will be better for you. So just to tell you here, all the settings that you see, all the furniture that you see here, everything dates back from the mid-19th century, around 1855, 1856. So all the pieces of furniture, the paintings that you might have seen at the entrance, if I didn't lose completely the Wi-Fi, that's what it was there. But the collection predates that. The collection was built in 1794. I'm still walking around like backwards, it's awkward, sorry. The collection dates back.
All right, sounds like we're out of a Wi-Fi hot area here for Eloïse, but she's in one of the galleries there that's right off the entrance gallery. And this is where they have a lot of the classic minerals. Up on the top of that cabinet that at least my screen is frozen on is a picture of Hawi, who is one of the modern or ancient fathers of mineralogy. So hopefully we will get Eloïse back soon. I'm gonna gesture to her that I can't hear her. Oh, I think we got video back, but the audio is still dead. Okay, you should have your audio back. Can you hear me, Eloïse?
Yes, I'm sorry about that. So we are in a beautiful building. The building dates back from the beginning of the 18th century, meaning we have big rocks that built the wall. When we go from one room to the other, the Wi-Fi just goes bad, and we don't have any 4G inside the museum. It's really, really difficult. So I hope that I will be able to travel with you around. So again, you know, the collection was built in 1794. We moved into this beautiful hotel in 1815. And when I say beautiful, it's because it's truly beautiful. So I don't know
Now
if you can see that.
this is the Luxembourg Gardens that you're about to show us here, correct? Oh, it looks like a postcard. It's frozen, but it looks like a postcard. So not so bad. But the School of Mines is right off the Luxembourg Gardens, which is not too far from Notre Dame and the Louvre. So it's really kind of in the heart of Paris. And the beautiful thing about this is I've been there quite a few times, and I've taken some friends there. And all you ever have to do is just get in touch with Eloïse, and she would be more than happy to invite you in and take you around. Now, the School of Mines the Paris School of Mines is one of the three great mineral museums in the city of Paris. So if you ever get a chance to go out to Europe, especially to the Sainte-Marie show, then it's certainly worth a trip to Paris. Paris is always a great place to go, but it's certainly worth a trip to Paris just to go to the School of Mines. It's an incredible, incredible museum. The other two are the Sorbonne and the National Natural History Museum. Eloïse, we have you back.
Yeah, so it looks like I won't be able to walk around. It's not going to be that easy. Can I introduce you to my coworkers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bonjour.
Hello.
So I'm telling you, the room is not completely empty here. We have Farida, she's the gemologist here at the School of Mines, and Didier, who is curator and the director of the museum. So, and we're just mixing one staff member who left a bit early today. But here is, you have like a third quarter of the full staff of the museum here. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Greetings from Hawaii and from the rest of the world. Thank you for letting us come into this museum towards the end of your day. And we really appreciate the walk around and the tour that Eloïse and all of you are providing for us.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. So it looks like it's not going to be easy for me. What I can do, right now I stopped the Wi-Fi, so maybe I can try to go around a bit. What do you think, Brian? Should I show the Mexican opal? I cannot show that to you because it's gonna be part of a big exhibit that's gonna be happening at the Natural History Museum beginning in September. So it's on loan right now. Don't be mad at me, okay? I know that you love this one, but I can show you here next to where the opal is. I can show you one thing. Fun. Okay, you see everything. That sounds good.
Oh, look at those keys.
Hopefully, yes. We don't have to evacuate the building. Okay. No, because like when the alarm goes off, it's really bad. So maybe you can see this great little guy here.
Well, it looks like a Brazilianite.
It looks like a Brazilianite because it is.
I think you were saying it is a Brazilianite. We kind of.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's huge. That is enormous.
See, that's one of my favorites. Yes, I don't know if you were able to hear me or not, but that's the Brazilianite, and it's beautiful, beautiful crystal. I can go to the side of it. See, the side is perfect as well. There's nothing missing there. You see the reflection there. It's a beautiful large crystal of Brazilianite. The color doesn't show much here on my camera, but it's truly amazing, really beautiful.
Now, I absolutely love that just because I have a personal tie with Brazilianite. My father was the first man to actually mine Brazilianites in Brazil, and at the time it was unnamed. And he had met Fred Poe, and Fred had came down, and my father had given him samples, and Fred brought it back to America, did analysis on it, and discovered that it was a new mineral. They didn't know what it was. My father was also into jewelry, so he was mining that because he figured there was something he could do with it. And so because it was a new mineral, Fred was allowed to name it, so he named it Brazilianite to honor the country from which it came. Yep.
So I knew that there was a good story behind it. For me, this is one of probably the best I've ever seen from of the Brazilianite ever. You know, I just love the color. The crystal is perfect. And what I was showing you is one of the drawers. because as I was telling you that we have a lot of drawers into this museum. No kidding. We have a lot of them. You see Farida over there, and all of them are full of rocks. And here I open a drawer where you can see mostly silica, so chalcedony and things like that. As you see, you have a lot of things to look around here. So those are not accessible to the public, all those drawers. It's only upon request that you can actually get access to those drawers under surveillance of someone from the staff, mostly for researchers and also when we prepare some exhibits. So, you know, we can get access to that.
Well, now,
So
Eloise, as I said earlier, I'd been there at the museum. I've had the privilege of being there quite a few times. And you've always talked about how it's a systematically organized museum. Can you explain to our viewers what that means?
Correct. Can you still see me well and hear me well then?
Yes, we can. Or at least I
Okay,
can.
great. I'm going to continue walking around at the same time I'm speaking. Here you see indeed that I'm in the quartz section. If you look into the quartz section, so everything is organized by species. Within species, it's by family. And we regroup the families following the Strong system. And here we are in the oxides. The oxides, so we put quartz as following of Strong system in the oxides. So that's what it means. So basically, if you go all the way to the end of the museum, you will see that we begin with the native elements, and walking up, you will find the sulfides, then the oxides, and then the carbonates, and all the way to the silicates. I was telling you about the exhibit, so I had to remove a few rocks here out of the display for special exhibits, which is going to be happening at the Museum of Natural History in Paris. It's going to be called Special or Precious Stones. Here, see, we are still in the oxides with the hematites. Okay, one of my favorites is here. I love this little hematite from Switzerland. It's beautiful. It's from Saint-Gothard, and it's a nice rosette. So it's really, truly stunning. So here we are in the
oxide. There's any dings or wilburs on that at all.
Is it anything on what? Sorry?
I said it doesn't look like there are any dings or wilburs on that at all.
No, it's perfect. We showed it in Sainte-Marie a few years ago. So it was a real success. I really loved it. As you can see, we have some light within our display cases. Actually, the contrast is intriguing, and some of our display cases are closed. Now, when you open them, the light turns on automatically for a few seconds. So that's for our light sensitive minerals. And you will see that after a few seconds, see the light switch off, and the specimens are protected this way. So only when you open the case, the light will turn on for a few seconds. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because there's too much light right now. There's too much light inside the museum. So see, that's the fluorides that are covered so they don't go bad. So that's how it's arranged inside the museum. So systematic collection for these horizontal display cases here, but we also have the old exhibit from the 1970s, which we want to keep because it reflects the history of the School of Mines. Here at the School of Mines, we were educating geologists that would be able to find natural resources all around the world. So thanks to them, we managed to grow the collection and to still keep the collection as it is right now, and to have a lot of different specimens coming from a lot of different mines around the world. Actually, in some of the drawers that we keep usually in the central aisle here, some of the drawers we will actually keep the minerals not by species, but by locality. So following one mine in one specific department from one specific country. So that's how it works. Most of those tables, systematic, and the rest, you see the beautiful, beautiful sunshine coming in. Do you see this big thing over there? This big mineral, the cactus?
I can read, it says Vivianite. That is crazy huge.
This is crazy huge. It's from Cameroon. again, it was a found of the School of Mines engineers back in the 1970s. They were the ones who found the lake. Well, the lake that was not in place anymore, but at the bottom of the lake, they discovered those huge limonite crystals, and everything got extracted for the crystals themselves, because really nothing was useful otherwise, but everything got extracted. We bought the best minerals for the collection. We bought actually more than necessary, and the rest we use as an exchange, well, tools, if you want, to actually build up the collection as well. Okay, so I want to show you something. Do you still see that? Connection is still okay?
The meteorites, yeah.
Because I told you about minerals, but we also have a meteorite collection. So here is one of the display cases, but we have more as well. So, and here's the beginning of the systematic collection with the native elements.
Wow.
So I might go a bit fast. I'm not sure you can see that. This was my messy office that you might have seen earlier. So sorry about that. And here's the gallery.
I think it's fine to go fast because hopefully it'll be an enticement for viewers to come and visit it in person, because this is one place that you have to just take your time and spend the whole day. Gulp.
Mom. Sorry, I had to stop at the steam night. So here's some.
My God. We were just looking at that, and then we're off to something else.
Well, too bad for you guys. Too bad for you. So this is my setup right now. I will try to go, and I wanted to show you, if I hope that's not going to break, I wanted to show you a wolfenite. This is one of my favorites. I'm crossing my fingers so that it would work. You see Farida is working?
Yep, or at least she's pretending to.
No, she's closing up for the day. She was working on remaking some of the labels in the collection.
Right on.
Taking the photos, so everything is, she knows where everything is. Okay, can you see that?
Red cloud wolfenite. Good God, look at those blades.
Okay, so this is one of my favorites, and I wanted to show you that. I don't know, Ryan, how long do you want me to keep on going about the collection? But it's a big collection. But at least for our American viewers, I wanted them to see that. Just insane, you know. It's not. It's, if you see on the side here, it's actually, there's a little fracture that has been naturally consolidated with more wolfenite crystals underneath. So it's a very fragile object. I had it travel before, but I don't think that's going to happen again. I think it's so well displayed here with the wolfenites. And the light is just perfect now that we have the new lights. So this one, I don't know, like it worries me so much when we exhibit that I think that is going to probably stay here.
Well, wolfenite is generally notoriously fragile, and that would have been a perfect exhibit to have at the TGMS show a couple of years ago when the theme was I Love Wolfenites. But yeah, for anyone who wants to see that again or up close, get yourself to Paris.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, it looks like the connection is now better. At least it seems that you can still see the image. Okay.
Oh, look at that malachite.
Yes. Can you still me go? Okay. Like it's fine if I still walking around. And Brian, if there's anything else, let me know. But as we are talking, I'm just keep on going, and so everybody can have a look. And I don't know if you have any more questions.
Yay. And is that from the Queen mine there, or which mine in?
It doesn't say on the label, but this is the BlueCap. I will show you a better BlueCap later on when I go back to the main room here. I love this one. This is from Madagascar.
Oh, that's
a nice.
Oh my God.
So I really like this one. This is I was telling you about the silicates all the way to the end of the museum. The museum is arranged in a systematic way. So that is a big room here. just because the silicate family is the largest family at the surface of the Earth. Silica is the main element at the surface of the Earth. That's why we have a lot of silicates inside the museum.
Now, Eloïse, is the museum collection growing? How does that work?
Yeah, I can talk to you about that. Definitely. I just stopping here quickly at the barrel at the same time, and I can show you how it's growing. Here, for example, you have an emerald, and you see on the label, hopefully you will see that it has a name. It says Don Abessemin. That means that it has been given to us by the friends of our minerals of the museum. Sorry. So right now there's no acquisition budget at all. The only way the museum is still growing is thanks to donation, either money or samples or specimens that we choose with the friends of the museums, or we have the chance to get from people who recognize that museums don't have much money these days to actually buy minerals. So they recognize that it's really important and they still want to give something. And actually I will walk, as I'm walking, I will stop at the specific case where you can see what I'm talking about. We want to thank all of our donors. Maybe I should stop here quickly. We want to thank all of our donors because it's only thanks to them right now that the museum is growing. These are some gemstones from the French crown jewels. Yes, we do have some gemstones from the French crown jewels. But I wanted to show you how we managed to grow the collection. And this display cases is actually a good way to see it. These are some of the donations that we got recently. The latest donation that we got is this brucite from Pakistan, and it was given to us in Tucson this year by Mustafa Ghulam.
Mustafa is a great friend of ours. We have him on all the What's Hot programs. His company is Fine Art Minerals, specializes in Pakistan and Afghanistan minerals, and just a wonderful guy. As Wilbur, or as Alan Hart loves to say, he's got the greatest smile in the mineral world.
Yes, definitely. And I have to remove some of the specimens because at some point I had to call this donation case the Christophe Gobin donation display cases, because Christophe is one of our main donor for minerals. So I have to remove some of Christophe's specimens that he gave to us to actually put some other donors on here. So this is really cool.
Christophe is an incredible friend of ours. He actually was very instrumental in getting the What's Hot in Saint Marie program started, and a great dealer. I love that wolfenite from Iran. Any minerals from Iran is very fascinating to me. But one of the things that I was really so impressed by, and you're looking at it right there, are the keralites that he brought to Tucson a couple of years ago. He and his brother Brice brought keralites to Tucson a handful of years ago, and it was the talk of the show. And then these newer keralites that Christophe brought to Tucson made the older ones just pale in comparison. I mean, really redefined what a keralite was from the Congo.
Yes, so and the great thing is that we could not afford something like that, that's for sure. So it's the largest keralite we have from the species. Just behind is not something that is like as showy, but for a mineral museum as we are, this is so great. It's a rowite and oceanskite specimen from China, from the recent discovery, maybe like it was 4 or 5 years ago. And we have the type specimen for rowite in our collection, but the type specimen is 1 millimeter large. Okay, that's the specimen that was used to first describe the species. And now we have those large crystal of rowite and oceanskite on the same specimen. So for us, that was a big upgrade for really rare species. So that was really wonderful to have. So thanks again to all of our donors, because really without them, we could not do much right now. So yes.
Eloïse, on the issue of donors, maybe you can share with us. I know that when it comes to the donors that you're, oh yeah, okay, come on, yeah. This is
Okay,
crazy.
sorry.
That's
Let
obviously.
me go back. Let me go back quickly. Yes, please, Brian, go ahead. I'm listening. We're listening to you. Yes.
No, so I'm kind of drooling because that's a blue cap from the Tourmaline Queen mine, which my father and his partner at the time, Bill Larson, pulled out of the Pala region. My family, we still own the Tourmaline Queen mine, so it's got a very near and dear meaning to my heart, and obviously the BlueCap Productions logo was based on that.
Can you see, Brian? Can you see the blue cap right now?
Yes, I
Maybe.
can. I'm afraid that as I talk, the video goes to my video, and I want it to stay on yours. So why don't you talk for a little bit while you show?
That's exactly what I wanted to do by just speaking about it. So I don't know if you realize that, huh? But you see that it's a large specimen that arrived at the museum in the 1980s, most likely, because naturally break, and it was re-glued, but really quickly and badly when it was first found, and it has not been touched since then. So basically, it's a really rough mineral. No work has been done on it, but you see the large piece it is. So now with the work that we do on preparing specimens, basically this specimen is already a killer as it is, but it could be so much better. Like if we could prepare it a bit more, but again, see the size. I don't know, like we're saying something, maybe I can increase the quality of the video or something, I'm not sure.
You know, while you're playing around with that, Eloise, I want to say there's something to be said about being able to see a blue cap in its more kind of natural state as it came out of the ground. We've seen so many great blue caps in private and public collections around the world, but it's something about seeing a blue cap with all the warts and ugliness attached to it that is really kind of, in a way, it's refreshing, and it is a fabulous piece.
Look at this, I love it, yay! Sorry, I cannot get tired of it.
Yeah. So let me go back to talking about donations for a quick second. Our friend Cristiano Ferreras from the National Museum, he always was talking to me about how Americans can donate to the museums in Paris, like the School of Mines, and still receive all the financial benefits as if they were donating to a museum in America. Can you talk about that real quickly?
Yes, that's really correct. Basically, wherever to whatever collections or institution recognized national-wise, which is the case for us, you get the tax back from the country you're for, and not from the country you're giving the object or the money to. So basically, it really doesn't matter to whom, to what institute you give. It's only in your country that you receive the tax payback, so it follows the country, the tax rules of your own country. So that's very important, because in France you only get 60% of tax cuts, while in the US it's 100%. So it's really interesting for Americans to actually give in general, and they can just give to other institutions than in the US. Sorry guys, I have to do my self-promotion. And they still give the same tax cuts, yes.
Well, I love it. I mean, I think it's so important. You have such a beautiful classic museum there that if anyone in America wants to donate specimens, or I guess really anyone around the world wants to donate specimens to your museum, I'm sure you could help them in navigating the sea of paperwork. Is that correct?
Yes, no, for sure. It's no problem. We have the official government certificate that we give away. So it's no problem at all for us. We do that not on a daily basis, but pretty much. So it's no problem. I see that Raquel is saying something, because Raquel is hiding behind the scene, but she has a big role in this show. And she's like, okay, stop talking, guys. It's time for Q&As.
Oh, okay. Well, I got one last question for you, and I know we're running a little bit long, but we're just having so much fun. One last question for you. In your opinion, what are the qualities that makes a great minerals? And I'm going to be asking this of all my guests.
Yes, that's a really good question. So, I have to be biased. Of course, I can talk about the point of view of the creator. So it really depends on what you want to curate. So think about what you want for your collection in the first place. So for me, for the museum first, it will be the collecting will be only collecting the minerals that you don't have yet, the species that you don't have then yet, and the locality that you don't have yet. And sometimes if the mineral is not perfect, so be it, but at least you have it as a reference. For me personally, if I had to choose a mineral and not thinking about the museum in mind, I told you I like gemi crystals. So for me, it has to have the shape, perfect shape without any ding. Maybe like a crystallographically I like twins, for example. But the shape, the perfection of the faces, the perfection of the edges, one. If it's something that is transparent, so the transparency and the color, obviously. I don't mind when a specimen doesn't have any matrix around. So, for example, the BlueCap that we're talking about is really interesting because it has the geological context. So again, it depends on what you like. I like gemi crystals such as they are. I don't necessarily need their geological environment. As a museum curator, I would think I like the geology and I want the minerals around to keep it in context. So shape, transparency, color. For me, these are the three things I would look around as my personal favorite, I would say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to go into our question and answer segment of the program right now. And, you know, again, this is our first time doing this, so I'm kind of fumbling through this a little bit. I do want to give a shout out to Eloïse Gaillou, who he was the guy that Eloise and Raquel told me, you got to go watch some of the webinars he does. And he does such a wonderful, wonderful job, and they've really got it dialed in. And so this is really kind of our ode to them. You were our inspiration for doing this. So look him up on Facebook, go visit some of his webinars. Absolutely wonderful. They're focused more on the gem world. So I like to, if I can be humble enough to say, I like to think that we complement his program. So Rui, thank you for everything that you do. And so going into the Q&A session, Raquel, maybe you could turn your microphone on and ask some of the Q&A questions that some of the viewers have submitted to us.
Oh, sure. Hi. So one of the questions it was for Eloise from Maria Gonchar. Did you get samples from Mars as you have expected?
If we have samples from Mars, is that correct?
Yes.
We have meteorites coming from Mars. Yes, we do have some. Actually, we loaned some of our Martian meteorites to another museum because that's what we do. And they are on their way back from the east of France. We still have some other samples that were donated to us in Tucson 2 or 3 years ago, but Ed Thompson as well. So yes, we have some samples from Mars, but as meteorites. So we don't get any rocks, directly rocks from meteorites, because right now there's no mission that went to Mars and brought some samples back, but we have things that fell from the sky and that we knew that came from Mars in the first place. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, I think it does. Another one from Vera in Austria. She asked, from the rocks behind you, are they nephrite from Siberia collected by Alibert? Seems like they also have them in Vienna.
Yes, it's these are famous European-wise. It's a famous guy who found Alibert, who found the deposits. Indeed, so he found the nephrite jade deposits. So I don't know if you can see everything. This is actually nice slides. We have the light behind it, so you can see nicely the color of the nephrite slides. But yeah, this is the Alibert collection. I don't know if you can see, maybe that's the name of Alibert might appear somewhere. So these are trophies that Alibert left in all European museums. So in Paris, I know that they have some in the Natural History Museum, and at the Sorbonne collection, we have some. So see, this is going to be one of the trophies. Oh, but there's a lot of reflections, sorry. Trophies from Alibert, indeed. And let me actually, if I can show you something around, if I'm not messing around too much with my phone. You see, this is graphite. This is a trophy in graphite. So graphite is super, super soft. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a little dog head that was carved in graphite. It's crazy. This is a little like a fly that was carved in graphite. Graphite is super soft, so it's really, really hard to work it without it falling apart. So I think that answers Vera's questions. I'm happy, Vera, that you joined us today. Thanks all for joining, actually.
And let me interject by saying, Vera, you're going to be one of our future interviewees, so be ready.
I think
she's ready. I think she agreed already on a date.
Eloise, I have another one from Christopher Round from Auckland. Seems like he knows that you have been doing some research on opals, and he would like to know, how do you take scanning electron microscope pictures of opals and the structure that the SEM shots reveals?
So how do we take SEM pictures of opals? So first of all, you have to have a fresh break on opals. So be ready when you do research to destroy or partly destroy what you're studying. So that's the first answer. You have to make fresh breaks, but that's what we call fresh breaks. So you take a little hammer and you break small, tiny pieces. You don't need big pieces. That's a good thing about most of the work that we do in research. Only a tiny amount, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters is more than enough for doing SEM work, because a scanning electron microscope will look at features, very small features in general. So you don't need big pieces. Opal is silica, amorphous silica that is hydrated. So it doesn't have any arrangement at the atomic scale, but sometimes it can show an arrangement at the nanoscale. So sometimes it can show features that are between 100 and 400 nanometers wide. So most of the time we think about play of color opals, the precious opals that have perfect spheres, silica spheres. This never really happens in reality. Those spheres, they happen, for example, in Australian opals, but they're usually cemented by more silica grains in between them. So on the fresh break, when you put them into the scanning electron microscope, you will see a really flat feature, nothing to see. So that's why you need to hatch them with HF, hydrofluoric acid, and this way you will remove some of the silica, and actually you will remove the cement. So it's only a fresh break, so you drop it in the hydrofluoric acid 10% for 30 seconds, and then some of the silica will be removed, the cement, and only reveal the spheres. So that's how you can manage to take a nice SEM picture of your play of color opals from Australia in particular. And you would do that for other opals as well to reveal the other structures. Most of them, they don't show spheres. They can show lipispheres. So when you see, for example, desert roses, they have this overall spherical shape, but they're full of blades that make the spherical shapes. That's what Mexican opals are usually made of. Or just really small nanograins and without any arrangement. And in this case, you have a common opal and not a play of color opal. So I hope that answered the question about SEM pictures on opal.
I think so. And also along the same line, George asked if you have any of those facilities for museum identification in the museum, like Raman spectroscopy, XRF, EDS.
So the museum is within the School of Mines, and now we are on a campus that is within the city. So the city of Paris. So right now the school here is only for students, and our research facility is off-site, really off-site. And the geoscience department is 20 kilometers away from Paris. So actually what I do, so I don't have any equipment right now here at the museum or within the school, at least the campus, the Paris campus. So for me, it's actually easier to go and work with my colleagues that are only 2 kilometers away from me. So in Paris, it's just a small walk, everybody walks. And I go to the Sorbonne University. So you might know the Sorbonne collection as well, the Jean-Claude Brouillard. So the Sorbonne University has a huge, huge department in research in mineralogy, petrography. So they have all the equipments there. All of the equipments you can dream about, they have them. And they even have access, some of the researchers have access to a synchrotron facility. So, but all the Ramans you can think about, the SEM, the FIB, on the TM, they have all of that there. As well at the Natural History Museum, which is again 2 kilometers away from here, they have some facilities on site as well, such as a scanning electron microscope. They have Raman, they have FTIR, they have a few instruments there. So my work, if I want to continue my work, my research here, I do it mostly thanks to my colleague at the Sorbonne collection and my colleagues at the Museum of Natural History.
Nice one. Getting now into collections, couple of questions. One is about what database do you use to track your collection, and is there an accessible version of the public, teachers, student researchers to look through at home?
Yes, so indeed the collection is fully cataloged, and that's actually a question that, you know, like I really want to say that everything that is cataloged in the museum is in the National Treasure of France. So everything that is here is never going to go away. So everything that is cataloged is here forever, and everything is digitized. So we use a database that was built by someone from the School of Mines back in the days, and we were trying to switch to a new database that didn't give us full. We were still not happy with it. So right now we're still actually in the process of finding the right tool for us. So we are using one. It's not the best, but the good thing about it is that we can deal with minerals, gemstones, rocks at the same time. So that's what's ongoing right now. The final goal for us was to give access to all to our collection. So right now, as it is, we don't have online access to all of our collection, unfortunately. But that's really what we wanted to achieve in the next year, 2 years, at least, I think. So sorry, no access online so far, but it will happen.
And another question from Caroline. She saw there are some QR codes on some of the pieces of the collection. Where do those take you to?
Yeah, wow, okay, so the image was not too bad then. That's a good thing. The QR codes are linked mostly to our YouTube channel. So when you scan those QR codes, you have access to short videos, 2 minutes top, in French by the director that you saw earlier, about either the mineral that the QR code is next to it, or the elements that contains, one of the elements that the mineral contains. So YouTube channel. We have a lot of resources, mostly in French, on the YouTube channel.
Nice one. Another collection by Christina Bird is all of the, you mentioned you have 100,000 specimens in the collection. Are all stored in the space that we currently see, including the drawers, or you have anything offsite?
Most of those specimens are stored here. So you see behind me, you have some black cupboard, and you see them all around the museum. So the drawers are for the small specimens, the cupboard are here. We have mainly another room or two, but most of the collection is here. So that means that it's a limitation for us. That means that we cannot accept big collections because we're really limited in space. So if we are to accept a collection or specimens, we have to keep that in mind. We cannot accept 10,000 specimens at the same time unless they're thumbnails because of the space. So that's right now it's a problem for us. But we hope that actually the museum is going to grow a bit bigger within the school. Again, fingers crossed. There is a large project here at the school, so I hope that eventually it's the museum is going to take more space and we can expand more. So that's that's crossing my fingers.
Couple more questions. Do you have any amber in your collection? And also, what stone do you have in your pendant?
So do I have any amber? Is that correct?
Yes.
And the second part of the question?
What's your pendant made of?
Oh, my pendant. Okay.
Your necklace.
I can begin with that because it's an easy one. This is an opal, obviously. Talking about opals, this is my PhD work. I got it in Mexico when I was doing my PhD on Mexican opal, and that's where I got to know someone that might be in the room today. Carlos, if you're here. Hi, Carlos brought me on mines when I was doing my PhD, so that was back in 2005, and we went around Mexico and to look at opals, and I got this one at one of the mines, so it's a really, really precious for me. I think I bought it for 20 francs back in the days, so it was really nothing, and I keep on wearing it. It's really old now, but I still love it. People say, don't wear opal, be careful opal, you have to protect them. I wear it all the time. I keep it with me. I take my shower with me. It showers with me, and it doesn't move. It has a few scratches, and that's all. And the second question was about amber. Is that amber big enough for you? This is amber from Baltic. So this amber is not gemmy, but it's huge. It's absolutely huge. That's the largest amber I have. Tell me if the connection goes back, Raquel. This is another piece of amber. So yes, we do have amber in the collection. We have a few organic compounds in our collection. Yes, we do that.
What about any fluorescent mineral exhibit?
Oh, that's perfect. We are just in the right space for that. Might be too much sun right now, but does that answer the question as well?
Yes.
Yes, we do have that. It's fun for the public to see, you know, because it's all about the elements and what makes rocks. You know, people ask me what a rock is. Well, they're made of elements, and some of those elements actually react to the light. That's why we see color, and sometimes emit light, and that's why we see fluorescence. So yeah, we do have that. Yes.
Watch out, Eloise, because I know one of our future guests is Peter McGaugh who's the display chairman at the TGMS. Next year's Tucson theme is fluorescent minerals, so he may be hitting you up for some of those.
Cool. All right. Do you have any other questions, or do you think it's time to leave our audience?
I think we are done. It's more I pass the ball now to Brian and you if you want to say some goodbyes. Thank you, Eloise. It was great.
Thanks, Raquel. Thank you to all.
Well, Eloise, thank you again for finding the time to sit and chat with us. It is just about 6 p.m. your time, so I know you've got to get out of the museum. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in there for a couple days or something.
Yes, indeed. I will be stuck here until 7:30 tomorrow morning. So thank you for letting me go at the right time. I really wanted to say to all of you, thank you very much for joining today. I'm sorry about the few glitches we first had. So thanks for sticking with us today. And I know that Brian will announce that, but stay tuned every Wednesday. I think Brian and Raquel are organizing some wonderful program for you guys. So let's try to keep this mineral community alive while shows are being canceled and we cannot really travel to see each other. So it's really good to have this nice little chat, and we can exchange about our passion.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Eloise. And yes, Eloise is correct. We are striving to have new Mineral Talks live episodes every Wednesday, maybe not exactly at this time. Again, we did this early time so that we could be sensitive to Eloise's time there in the museum. Next week, we have a scheduled dealer, and we're going to be going through different people. So it'll be curators, dealers, collectors, researchers, people from the media, artists. And so we're really going to try to cover the gamut moving forward. So next week, tune in. We're going to have Rob Levinsky live with us from Dallas. And I'm sure that's going to be a very, very interesting webinar as well. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe out there and be good. Take care.